Hello, welcome to the Republican Rundown. My name is Tommy Pigott. I'm the RNC Strategic Communications Director. As always, I'm joined by Madison Gesiotto Gilbert, the RNC National Spokesperson. Madison, it's great to see you again. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or early, soon to be.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Tommy, how are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Well, we all could be doing a little bit better. Unfortunately, this holiday season, just with Bidenomics and everything else, that's really hurting families. I mean, when I went to go buy a bunch of gifts for my nieces and nephews, the prices of some of this stuff is absolutely outrageous, and I'm sure everyone is feeling that. There's sort of one promise that Biden kind of pointed out last year when he was talking about the impact of his policies, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it and see what you thought. If we could play that clip from Biden in December 2022.
What I'm most excited about is people are starting to feel a sense of optimism as they see the impact of the achievements in their own lives.
So that was Joe Biden back in December 2022. And just to contrast that with a CNBC poll that came out just a few days ago, talking about whether or not Americans agree with him a year later. Can we play that clip from CNBC?
Those who are optimistic now and for the future, just 15% now. And for the year, now, by the way, this is up a little bit on the quarter, but this is the year for the average. 66% being pessimistic now and for the future is a record high in the 17 years we've been doing this. So we've never found people more depressed.
So a year later, seems like that's another broken Biden promise to me.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, being in this time of the year, it's supposed to be very joyful and jolly and wonderful. Not everyone's feeling that way, and it's very unfortunate. Again, as we say every single week, it didn't have to be this way. You mentioned the price of presents. Well, 1 in 3 Americans are actually not even buying presents this year as a result of their financial situations and the status of the economy. People are struggling. People are suffering. It's really a shame to see. You obviously talked about going out and shopping for your nieces and nephews. I even noticed it again this week at the grocery store, getting ready to have family over for Christmas Day and buying some of the things that I'm going to cook and looking at the price difference even from last year until today on some of the items. It's really insane, Tommy.
It really is. And it's also an insult for the Biden administration to go out and claim success, which I'm sure you've seen recently, how they go out on TV and start to claim that prices are down for holiday food, that prices are down for toys, that energy prices are down, when if you look at the statistics, they're up massively from when Joe Biden took office. It's amazing that they're trying to go out there and literally deny the price tag. They're trying to say, don't believe your own lying eyes, don't believe your bank account, believe me in the White House, when I'm basically lying to you. That's what the Biden administration is doing.
The government thinks they know better than we do, apparently. Some people will just lie about everything and anything, and that's what they have done time and time again. They've tried to twist the truth, but no matter how much they lie, people know what they're seeing. They know what they're feeling. They know what they're spending, and it's not good. And so they can continue to lie, but people going into 2024, we're just a few short days away from the new year and less than a year away from a very big election season. And I think this will be a critical election, which is why it's so important for us as Republicans to connect with these voters who are unhappy, who maybe haven't voted Republican before, but are seeing the negative impact in their lives on what the Democratic policies have done.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jimmy Carter when he gave that malaise speech where Americans weren't feeling confident about the country. They were believing that the best days for America weren't ahead of them. And then Jimmy Carter goes out there and basically lectures the American people, saying it's their fault, essentially, that they're not feeling good about the country. And I get a very similar sense from Joe Biden and his administration right now, where when he's asked about why are you so unpopular, he blames the American people for not recognizing all of his quote unquote achievements. It's so disconnected from reality.
Yeah, and the vice presidents know better. I mean, when you look at almost anybody in the administration, they're totally disconnected. They don't relate to the American people, which is why they've largely been off the campaign trail, both in 2020 and again now leading up to 2024. Every time you put Biden out there, and most of the time you put Kamala out there, it's a total disaster. It makes for great RNC research clips. So if you're not already following RNC research on Twitter, make sure you do that, because people are loving the clips that we have, that we continue to clip of the administration and their total failures, even not even be able to read a prompter, or make a speech for 2 minutes, or walk off of a stage in Joe Biden's case. But again, none of them are connected with reality, and the American people are feeling that.
Yeah, and there was a recent Axios article talking about the inner workings of the administration and talking about Joe Biden and his schedule specifically. And one of the things that they said was that Joe Biden, his staff believes, Jill Biden believes, needs to rest more. That's literally what they were saying. After this president has spent over 400 days on vacation, more than any of his modern predecessors by this point in their presidency. And we have all these crises going on. Yeah, if he wants to rest more, he should retire. You know, he doesn't need to be president of the United States. If he needs to rest, being president's not a job for resting, I don't think.
It's not a restful job. I mean, look at any president, Republican or Democrat. They always look way more tired after spending 4 or 8 years in office. It's a grueling job. It's a very difficult job. We need someone at the top of their game to be running this country. And obviously, a Republican. Going forward, if we want to fix the problems that the Democrats have led us to, that career politicians have led us to, we need strong Republican conservative leadership, both in the White House as well as in the halls of Congress.
And I think one of the other reasons why people are so pessimistic is that these crises that the Biden administration has created keep on going and going and going. And the Biden administration is insisting on not solving them. When it comes to the border, for example, there's every single day this week, or almost every single day this week, we're seeing illegal border crossings top 10,000 per day. Record numbers of illegal border crossings. There was a report from Fox News, if we could play that clip, actually, of the border showing the massive scale of this crisis years after the Biden administration started this crisis, and it's still going. If we could play that clip. So over the last few months, you've had the highest October on record. Reports indicate the highest November on record. The current pace is for the highest December on record. We've had the highest days on record this month. And in 2021, Biden said that they had the crisis under control. It seems that this is another reason why Americans are pessimistic. It's not because of anything they're doing. It's because they're looking at the White House and saying, when are you going to wake up and actually solve these problems?
Yeah, they say they have everything under control, and they know they don't, and they don't have any plans to, and that's the sad part. The border's a great example of that. As you continue to see the numbers of people coming over the border illegally overwhelming the system, the court backlog has already been insane for a very long time. We'll never be able to catch up at this pace. And then, of course, you see across the country, cities, and we've talked about the hypocrisy of the Democrats who said, oh, welcome all the illegal immigrants, let anybody come over the border, until they started coming to their cities, because they're recognizing the real impacts when it comes to not being able to handle that type of influx of people, number one. And number two, of course, not knowing who is coming over the border. We need to know who's coming over the border. We need to be able to make sure that everybody's safe. Our legal immigrants deserve that too. And of course, when you look at people like my family and other families that have come here in the past 100 years and did it the right way, it's very frustrating and sad to think that you had to wait your turn, do it the right way. You had no support. You had to work from the bottom up to live that American dream. And people are coming over now illegally, breaking the law and being handed things, while we have veterans on our streets, sometimes starving, sometimes addicted to drugs, homeless, getting no support that they need. The VA hospital system totally also backlogged, difficult to get an appointment. I talked to a veteran recently who previously had dealt with some issues in regards to suicidal thoughts, and the VA said they could only get him in 3 months. He got help from somebody that cared about him, and it saved his life, but not everybody's so lucky. And so we're facing very, very difficult situations nationwide, and the Biden administration's focus is just totally misplaced.
It really is. I mean, you have examples as far-flung as in Massachusetts. You have reports of seniors being evicted from nursing homes to make room for migrants. You have the Army-Navy game, families, their hotel reservations being canceled to make room for illegal immigrants. You have all these examples, all these really horrifying examples of fentanyl across the country. The Biden administration doesn't seem interested at all in addressing that problem because they're refusing to secure the border. I think one of the telling things that has happened, especially if you look at under Trump where the border is under control versus under Biden, you have Democrats refusing to go to the border. Biden refusing to go. Harris hasn't been in years. Democrats who used to go and have press conferences down there are nowhere to be found. I think it shows that their only strategy for dealing with the border is to try to ignore it. And that's a real problem. And I think it's an example of what you said earlier, that we need Republicans in there to actually solve this issue.
Yeah, or not even to ignore it, but to proactively try to continue to push the same thing that's been going on, which is detrimental to the American people. In so many ways, they're not only leading from behind, but it seems like they're actively working against us. And that's why I think people feel so forgotten. They feel so frustrated because they feel like their administration or the government in general should be working for them. That's why we pay them with our taxpayer dollars. That's why people elect people to represent them in Washington, D.C., and people feel like they're working against us. And so I think moving forward, again, this is something that is so important for us as Republicans to connect with people on, because it's an opportunity for us to share the vision of how things could be different, to share the vision of how we can fix these problems. Because it's all great to critique them all day long, but if we don't come with solutions, which of course we are, but if we were not to come with solutions, then we would be no better. And so we have to continue to push the policies that will make things better and explain to people why.
Yeah, and the House passing all this legislation to secure the border, rein in inflation, put parents back in charge of education, empower families when it comes to their own money. So all these different examples of Republicans coming forward with solutions. I think that's the one positive silver lining here when it comes to Joe Biden's presidency, is that it's almost at an end. We only have, we have 2024 where we're going to be able to, the American people are going to be able to say enough is enough, time to elect a Republican. So I think that's the encouraging
You're fired.
news. Yeah. What was that?
I said, you're fired. That's what Americans will be saying to Joe Biden this year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the silver lining here, is that we get to say that very soon. So everyone watching should go to bankyourvote.com to really join the team to beat Biden. But this is a time to be motivated, to be thankful for what we have, but also look forward to saying we got to beat Biden to get this country back on track.
That's right. We absolutely have to. For anybody who's interested, post-holidays, looking forward to 2024, wanting to volunteer, visit GOP.com, wanting to find a resource of, how can I vote early in my state? What are the laws in my state? Now, everything's changed so much over the past 10 years. I always encourage people to use bankyourvote.com, not only as a place to commit to voting early, but also as a resource to find out, what the laws are in your state or other states. So check it out. And I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas, and we will see you before the new year.